It's a big, big week, lovely people. We've got Rachel Reeves stood up in the House of Commons telling us what's going to happen with all of our money. It's not going to be good news, I don't think. I mean, it's good news if you don't like government spending money on things. So the economy is struggling. Growth doesn't exist. I mean, since Labour won the election, growth has been completely flat and doesn't exist. They said it's all about growth, doesn't exist. Inflation has been coming down a bit. It was coming down under Rishi Sunak. It's coming down a bit, but now it's kind of leveled out and is being really stubborn. We've just got on the horizon just a slight growth in unemployment as well. Those three things, if we do get to a stage where we've got high unemployment, high inflation, no growth in the economy, we're in real trouble as a country. She's coming to the House of Commons, she's going to talk about it. This was planned to be the spring statement where she arrives and just gives us a bit of an update. It's more of an administrative thing than anything else. Bit of an update, everybody. Here you go. Well done, those people. Thank you very much. I'll see you in October. But it's too late to just be an update. Something has got to give. She's been really clear. She's not going to raise taxes. She's been really clear. She's not going to borrow more, which means the only lever she's got to pull is cuts. And that's what's going to happen. So the Conservatives are calling it an emergency budget to try and make it sound more panicked. Rachel Reeves going, no, it's a spring statement. It's definitely a spring statement. Yeah, spring. Definitely not an emergency budget. So officially a budget is where you change tax rates. So I don't think she's going to do that. Like, technically it's not a budget. But I always say to my kids, if you have to use the word technically, you've already lost the argument. Let's get rid of the word technically and say, it could be a budget. We'll see. It's the content that really matters. So here is Rachel Reeves' plan. She's going to go in there and she's going to start with a little bit of Conservative bashing. She loves a Conservative bash, does our Rachel. So she's going to stand up and she's going to talk about the spectre, the ghost, the shadow of Liz Truss over the House of Commons. Remember what she did to the economy. She's also going to say that we can't continue with the Conservative spending plans because they're so terrible. She is continuing with quite a few of the Conservative spending plans, so that's pinch of salt on that. And also the security of the nation. Our nation depends on strong economy. So that's all quite worrying and dangerous. But then, here come the Labour Party. Woohoo! They're helping people back to work. They're not writing off young people. They've done breakfast clubs, NHS waiting lists. I'm reading this off the thing because there's so many things they've done. They've done pay rises for the armed forces and the NHS and firefighters. They've made infrastructure spending big. So that's good. Well done them. They're saying we are the adults in the room. They're saying we're making it happen. They're saying, look at the good things we've done. We've only been in power a few months. This is when she's going to look sternly down the camera like this. We have made tough decisions. She loves that line. Basically, anything you do that's unpopular, you just say, yes, I've made tough decisions. And everyone goes, oh, yeah. Yeah, I do see that. That was important. That's going to be the message. We are tough because we need to be tough because we're not the Conservatives. Look at the great things we're doing. Oh, and by the way, here are some massive cuts we're announcing that we don't want to do, but they're tough decisions that have left to us by the Conservative Party. A lot of these problems that Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer will tell you are the Conservatives have come out of the COVID era, and that was money that everybody agreed needed spending. We needed to do that furlough scheme, and that was so expensive. But there was no other way, I don't think. Well, certainly no other way the Labour Party was suggesting at the time. They're going to say, we're good, we're decent, we're getting there, we're making tough decisions. That's why we have to do this, and this. Rachel Reeves has some problems, though, on Wednesday. She's going to stand up and say lots of things, but her own benches are not keen on any of it. Diane Abbott, she's been on every TV screen for the last couple of weeks because she said it's not the right thing to cut foreign aid. And then she said it's not the right thing to cut disability benefits. Like they've taken about £8 billion out of foreign aid, and they've taken about £5 billion out of disability benefits. And there are those in the Labour Party who say we are taking money from the poorest people on earth and the poorest people in our country. That's not the right way to do it. A lot of talk about wealth tax. Do you know what's not going to be in Rachel Reeves' speech? A wealth tax. I promise you that. Those people on the left of the Labour Party are looking increasingly isolated from it. And you've got the MPs who were thrown out of the Labour Party because they were talking about the 2-child benefit cap. That argument seems a long time ago, but really plays into what we're talking about here in the spring statement. They're still out in the party on the left. Some of them still out in the party on the left. So we're going to see Labour MPs drifting, feeling unable to support the government. Maybe they're going to leave. That's going to be a headache for Keir Starmer. It's not going to be a headache because he can't get his laws through because they've got so many MPs in the Labour Party. It doesn't matter if they lose a few. But in terms of supporting the country, in terms of being the Labour Party, it'd be difficult if they did leave. They've also got the problem with what are they going to cut? So there's talk at the moment about cutting 15% off government spending. But some departments are protected. Everyone agrees we're never going to cut the NHS budget. We're never going to cut the schools budget. So some things are protected. But if you protect some things and you're looking for a uniform 15% drop, the things that aren't protected get hit harder. So the Justice Department, for example, the government are putting money into building new prisons, which is great because they need new prisons. But the Justice Department, which runs the prisons and the courts, they're not a protected department. So they will be expected to find cuts. And if you've ever been to prison or known someone who's in prison or watched documentaries about prison, you've seen how hard it is to work there. The state of repair in these places, they need to spend money, but they're going to have their budget reduced. How many government-run services do you think you can look around and go, they're spending a bit too much money here? Now, Keir Starmer says that we can just run things more efficiently. We don't have to cut services. We can just find ways to do things, maybe using AI, maybe using just slicker processes or systems or whatever. We're going to be fine if we just do things more efficiently. And that's what he says. It's what George Osborne said during the austerity years. We need to find efficiencies. And maybe back then there were lots of efficiencies, but every prime minister since George Osborne was Chancellor has been going back to this efficiency as well. And just going to run dry. Like, how many more efficiencies can there be? Keir Starmer says there are. Who am I to argue? I don't know how civil service efficiencies might work. I don't know how it might work for the Justice Department. Maybe there are some. But if there aren't, then it's going to have real world problems because people rely on these services. Of course, the most annoying thing about Rachel Reeves is she's a politician. She says incredibly frustrating things. When she was being asked the question on Koonsberg the other day, she said, well, let me answer that head on. What regular person would ever say, let me answer that head on? What she means is, I'm going to answer that, but you don't need to say that bit because you just answer it. But she also says things like, Koonsberg Chancellor, well, so-and-so says this. And she said, I reject that characterization. What? Who talks like that? Anyone is free to talk how they want to talk. That's how the world works. You do what you do, you. But we talk about why people don't like politics. We talk about why people are put off from politics. And if they watch politicians, and it's not just Rachel Reeves, it's not. If we watch politicians at important times and they speak in this way that no one actually speaks, it distances, it pushes people away. Now, we also get the Rachel Reeves mumbo jumbo. So first of all, at this point, she won't confirm any cuts are coming. Why not? We all know that the cuts are coming. She says, this is a particularly good one. We are forecast to be the second fastest growing country in the G7. So the G7 is a group of countries, right? A group of well-off countries. And We are forecast, so might happen, might not, no one really knows, to be the second fastest growing. Now, second fastest growing sounds impressive, but when there's only 7 of them, the second fastest isn't that bad. Like if there was 100, it was the G100, but second fastest, that's good. But G7? It doesn't mean that much. But also, fastest growing. Right, if I wanted to own the fastest growing hamburger company in the UK, I would set up one hamburger restaurant and then put 5 more out there, right? And then be like, wow, you've grown by 500%. I'll be like, oh yeah, fastest growing burger joint in this joint. It wouldn't mean I'm bigger than McDonald's. I would just have 5 companies, 5 little shops. So, forecast, 2nd out of 7, fastest growing. It sounds like a good statement, but then you look into it and it's nothingy. She said the market has confidence in the fiscal rules. I haven't seen the evidence for that, but if you say it, like you mean it, it sounds good. The Bank of England are cutting interest rates, she said. They have cut interest rates. It's 100% true. But the last time they had the opportunity to do that, they didn't. They are not currently cutting interest rates. So when she says they have cut interest rates, it's true, but it's misleading. These things she's pulling out to demonstrate the success of the economy. They don't demonstrate the success of the economy. What we need is more clear talking and more honesty. And then maybe we can really get behind this tough decision and really see what happens about these tough decisions that they talk about. But while they're talking about tough decisions, while she's simultaneously being vague and confusing and all of these things, it's really hard to get behind, to empathize with the tough decisions being made.